Have you considered being a life coach? Have I considered being a life coach, coach of life? No, I don't want to be a life coach because it fundamentally doesn't exist online in the way people want it to. What you are looking for is the outcome, my end result. You're trying to see what I became and not worry about the process. And I can't teach you the process, right? That gap is where everything gets distorted between outcome and process. Picture a child. Right? Oh, little boy, little child, picture a child, Michael Jackson. Picture a child right now. Lie detector test. This child wants to be famous or a streamer or an influencer. So what does he do? What does she do? He or she copies other successful people, not becoming themselves, just becoming a version of someone else that already works. He builds something that looks right instead of something that is real. That is how people build their entire thing. A big issue is that we've made people who are attractive, funny, smart, or just able to get a reaction out of you the people you want advice from. Now, I am just funny. I'm not really attractive. I'm sometimes a little smart, but I'm not smarter than you. I'm still dumb. Just want to point out, I'm not really that much smarter than you. I'm only as wise as the smartest person I've ever spoken to. That's where I'm at, right? That's where my knowledge ends, is where it is. And you want advice from me. And that comes from wanting to like who you watch, wanting to feel connected to them. It feels earned, but you don't know these people. You know my content. That's it. And that is all. You are actually interacting with. You're just interacting with my content. Right now I'm live and you guys can talk to me and have a conversation. We're chatting it up. We're having a good thing. But you don't know me. All right? If I streamed 8 hours a day, you might know me a bit more because I will be forced to interact with you and you'd be my job. But you cannot know someone through something they edited and chose to show you. And that's the same reason I have an issue with dating profiles. Same exact structure. He will pick specific parts of themselves and the parts they think will land, the parts that look clean and interesting, and they present them like that's a full person. What you get is a highlight, not a life. And that gap matters more than what people want to admit it matters. That's the issue. So with life coaches, right? You're just getting the important bits. You're not getting a person with issues, stress, and struggle. That you don't get that. That doesn't get pushed. He doesn't hold attention. So what you end up with people who exist in full half measures. They move through things halfway, right? They present things halfway, but it looks complete from the outside. Picture this, right? You'll see someone on Instagram with a car, a house, a lifestyle that looks so built out from the outside in. He's got the girls. He's got a Lambo. He's got hardwood floors. He's got it out. He's got a pool in his front house. First off, you don't want a big house. Just want to point that out. You do not want a big house. It is hell to clean. You do not want a huge house. It is horrible to clean, and you barely clean your room. So jot that down. You don't want a big house. And you fill in the rest without thinking. You assume the story is finished. You assume it was earned. You assume it reflects something stable. You don't see what's behind it. You don't see what is temporary, what is rented, what is borrowed, what's staged. Because a lot of this stuff is staged. You see this idea of wealth or success that isn't grounded in anything you can actually follow. It's the same way I feel about current activism, same way I feel about the No Kings protest, the idea of activism, right? It's this big idea of activism. Because when you see the idea of something, it feels like a participation trophy. And because we are so obsessed with, I'm going to call it participation trophy era. It's the very culture, the culture of participation is what it is. Where you want to feel involved. There's this big culture of I'm gonna pull a black square. I'm gonna do this hashtag. I'm gonna do activism. I'm gonna do an activism today. I'm gonna feel so strong and powerful, and that pulls you in deeper because you don't want the training arc. You don't want the long stretch where nothing looks impressive. You don't want the part where there are slow, uncertain things that you got to deal with. You haven't seen it enough to respect it, so your brain starts reaching for the finished version without understanding what it takes to get there. Let's say, right, there's people that are here early, and they're going to say, I was here day one when he had 2,000 subscribers, or 5,000 subscribers, or 10,000. You're going to say that, and I'm going to reach bigger numbers, right? I'm going to keep making content and keep making bigger numbers, and one day, one of these videos is going to really strike fire. It's going to strike gold, right? One of these videos is going to really hit the algorithm like crack hit the black community in the 80s. It's what's going to be crazy. Like Reagan gave crack to the black community. That's how it's going to hit. And people are going to say, I came out of nowhere. Oh, I'm an overnight success. Oh, he's an industry plant. That's what they're going to say. Not seeing the disgusting, and I mean disgusting amount of work. I make like 2 videos a day. I stream. I do all this other stuff. It's crazy. Because you can't fully want something you don't know how to obtain. You can only imagine it. You can only reach toward it in pieces and create that feeling where everything looks simpler than it is. You can see the top of the mountain clearly, but you don't see the climb. So it feels closer than it actually is. There's always gonna be another mountain. You're always gonna wanna make it move. It's always gonna be an uphill battle. Miley Cyrus talked about it, man. Don't you guys? Aren't you Disney children? Isn't this a Disney Channel, kid friendly kind of chat? Isn't this nice? Isn't this crazy? We all agree that this is kid friendly in the way Michael Jackson is kid friendly. Okay, interesting take, interesting scenario. That is interesting. I don't know about that actually. I don't know. Would Michael Jackson be kid friendly? I don't want to talk about Michael, man, because that's the same thing about learning your celebrities, right? Same thing about learning celebrities. You don't know where it is, and that is very human, and it's okay. That's how people work. We fill in the gaps and assume that because somebody, talks bad about Palestine, that they wouldn't eat at McDonald's or wouldn't go to Target or something of that variety. Or let's say a celebrity, big celebrity, right? You love the celebrity, huge celebrity, and they get an endorsement deal. And they get an endorsement deal from McDonald's, maybe to get a meal from McDonald's, right? And you say, oh my God, I can't listen to the music because McDonald's funds the IDF. And I can't support this celebrity because they fund the IDF. But then you date somebody and you're on a date with somebody and they play this song in their car. And you like the song a lot. You're like, man, this song is amazing. And you look at the artist and it's the artist that you rejected. Who are you doing this for at this point? Are you going to say you hate the song because of the person? And there is something real to be said, because if we separate the art from the artist too much, we end up with AI as a whole thing. That's really the biggest thing we get. That's the issue I'm having with how celebrities will present themselves overall. Because if you extend it long enough, you're gonna end up with AI. That's what it is. Do you think that the soul of a person matters, or the work they make? I think that when you make work, when you make art or content, your soul inherently becomes it. And that's the issue I have with AI. That's what I was just talking about. The issue I have with AI is when you have AI, you just get the result. And that's why so many people like AI. It's because they get the end results of it. When the beauty of artistry isn't actually the art piece in itself. The beauty of artistry is how the art piece changed the person. There are many artists that I know who make pieces that look a little juvenile, but if you ask them to draw something else in a traditional style, they could do it, but they're drawing in their own style. The issue I have with so many artists and so many things is that they're arguing the wrong thing. They're just arguing the fact that a human made it, but they're not telling you why it's important that a human made it. We cannot value the process if we're never shown the process. We cannot value the person you were before and the person you were after if you don't show us the process of those two things becoming. The reason AI sucks is that it takes away the growth process of a human being and the soul behind that person. Art is beautiful because of the struggle and inherent growth that it shows the human experience and the connection you can have with another human. That's why art is beautiful. That's why I love and appreciate art to such a high degree. That's why I spend hours at museums looking at art. That's why it's beautiful to me. That's why I love it so much. That's what it is. AI doesn't do that. You just get the end result. I guess AI is perfect for a culture we have now because people don't care about the process or the training arc. They just want the end result. AI is perfect for that. I suppose so. That's really where it's at.
I'm your Nick and night, be my lower. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.